everything in the modern world has a new name, but it's all the same stuff. So alchemy is a dangerous territory because you're looking at the kingdom of darkness, the way the kingdom of darkness chose to package the wisdom of God. The animals get the nutrients and we get the what?
The waste. When you find out how McDonald's fries are made and why they're so addicting, it will terrify you.
This is the same reason people have a reaction when you start to look into real knowledge. Oh, that's witchcraft. That you must believe hell creates stuff that was never in God's hands. The devil is a thief, not a creative. Consume the fruit of the tree of knowledge and you can't even touch knowledge. That's never what he said. Oh, okay, that's good. Well, it was good when God put it in there. But actually, nobody has any idea whether it's good at this point.
What if I told you you were meant for something more? And what if at first sight your birthright was inked in blood? And what if dominion was written in big bold letters? And what if we shouldn't just occupy but overcome? And what if the observation of opposition was us? Antikemi, the podcast.
Welcome back.
Woohoo!
We are here with the Antikemi, the podcast. I'm excited.
How many versions of that name have you gotten from people since we started?
Actually, not that many versions, which is kind
Really?
of good. I had a homie, he was anti. He said, okay, against.
And
He said, Kima, is it Greek? I was like, you got it.
All right.
Tap into episode 1. We kind of explain it.
Yeah.
And so if you have been rocking with us this far, we want to say welcome. Thank you for coming back, tuning back in.
To Antioch, the podcast.
I love it. I am one half of your host. My name is Jonathan.
I'm Schulz.
And we are just going to dive right in.
Yeah, man. We are Antikemi, which we believe, by the grace of God, those that find this either are or will become radicalized to be the opposition, the resistance.
Yes, sir. I love it because we've already heard from a couple people like, man, this is my new favorite podcast.
Yeah, that was dope.
Which is like super cool to hear.
Yeah.
Just because you want to put out content that is relevant.
Yeah.
And that's going to be something that people can find actionable.
Yes.
They can do something with it, you know? There's enough mindless entertainment out there.
Yeah.
Where you can just veg out. I have found it interesting. I saw an article where it was showing that Netflix in particular was actually creating a different formula for how they create content. And they're doing it for a specific reason. Meaning, if you see some of their original programming in maybe the last year or two, the dialogue is so simple and almost corny to the point where the actors are like almost announcing what they're doing as if you are blind, right? Because Netflix has noticed that people are not watching anything, just watch it. They have it on in the background and they're just on their phone scrolling.
I am the problem on that.
You know, and so they just hear it. And so a lot of times if they're super locked into their phone, they're going to miss what's happening on the screen. And so they're like, well, people are not going to follow along. They won't stay plugged into our programming. So we're going to just make it easier for them.
That's crazy. When you think about, there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
Every so often I notice that. I'm sure most of you have too. But it does trip me out. When you look at the way that technology loops over time, I think it's been there's probably somebody who said it in the public eye first, but I've certainly observed it. I've heard people laugh about it. But if you think about 120 years ago, 100, maybe it's 150 years ago now, people were losing their minds. I don't know how long ago it was. I'm just throwing darts at the wall here, but however long ago, losing their minds because you could type a message in Seattle and whatever it was, a couple minutes, or I don't know how long it took to get across the U.S. Moments later, somebody was reading that message out in New York, and it was like, whoa, we can send these short snippets of text.
Yeah.
And then people get it, and wow, instantaneous communication, and shrunk the world dramatically, instantly, made everything much more connected, opened up massive new markets, and man, you could trade stock so fast, and massive wealth opportunities that came with it. And then a few decades later, people are losing their minds because, you don't have to send short snippets of text anymore where you're paying by the character. Now you could just use your voice, and you can say something in, Timbuktu, and somebody in Sri Lanka can listen to you, and you can talk to each other now. You don't have to send stupid little text snippets anymore. And then, of course, I've lived long enough to go from being blown away that you didn't have to be connected to the wall to be on the phone, to, you could walk around anywhere in your house, you could get out into the yard, to we're carrying them with us. I remember being 5 or 6 and knowing somebody that had a bag phone in their car, like, my God,
I was just going to say, knowing somebody with a car phone.
Oh, man.
Boy.
And then by the time I graduated high school, I was so happy that I didn't have to talk on the phone anymore. I could just whip out my little Nokia candy bar and T9, I could be just texting away, one thumb in it, and just like, man, this is great. It knows what you're going to say.
Yeah.
These computers are out of control. Like, it knows the word I want to type. And all you have to do is send a short snippet of text, and these people can get it. And then a generation later, we're like, actually, you can have a full QWERTY keyboard. It's an odd deal. And now, we're at the, what did you say that kicked that whole rant off?
I mean, people are just
so
locked in to
what made me think about it. Your Netflix comment, bro, that's just radio drama. What you just described.
That's all it is. That's all it is, because people, they're not focused on it, nor do they really care that much. And so people have been like complaining, people who are actually like want to watch the show and want to be invested or want to be like entertained and thrilled. They're like, this is so predictable. Like, the guy's I'm walking into the room, I'm holding a gun. It's like, what? Why would you need to do that? We can see you. You know what I mean?
But they're right.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm not looking.
I found myself the exact same way. I'm just not. And they have, you can almost find categories now where they're like, just throw us on in the background. They're okay with being in the background. You don't even have to watch us.
Yeah.
Just play it, because we're getting here.
Yeah.
We're getting through a gate somehow. We would like to get your eye gate.
Sure.
But if we can just get your ear gate, we'll settle for that, because you're still locked in to our programming, and you'll look up when it gets really good. We'll hook you one way or the other.
He that hath an ear.
And with the technology that was supposed to bring us closer together, we found that we're further and more distant apart. Sitting at I'm sure you told the stories before of having to try to recapture your dinner table.
Yes.
And
we're
why
still
that
in
was
the process of it.
Yeah, why it was kind of difficult. And I'm even seeing that now with my 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, first thing in the morning, She's looking at me. She can barely say 10 words. But you know what she can say? iPad.
Brewski. Sorry, Pastor Brewster.
Brewski's fine.
She doesn't know from a table, really. If you think about this generation, y'all are probably better about it than we are. But most of the kids in her age category, you're not taking her back to the kitchen table. You're taking her to the, like, with my kids, I'm having to show them what a table's about.
Yeah. But then I think, man, how have I kind of failed?
Boy, that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
I mean, how often have y'all typically eaten? Y'all may be better about it than we are. Like I'm just going to be super, what's the word I'm looking for? We're trying not to drag it out because we know we talk for a long time. This is not TikTok, y'all. This is, we're trying to actually have a conversation here that by the grace of God will help somebody, and know it'll help us. But I'm trying to keep it moving as much as possible. What's the word? I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
I knew if I just said enough words in a row, it would fall out. I'm trying to be vulnerable here, and I'll just say, like, we've gone years with hardly using the kitchen table. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, we just haven't. It not well, not much. Shabbat when we're doing good. Y'all probably did better than that.
I wish we did when we had. See, this is the thing. What's the central focus? Is it the table or is it the screen?
Right.
Because when we had the arrangement of our house where the table was in the middle, but it was still facing the screen, which was in the living room.
Yeah.
It was easy to be at the table because we still had view of the screen.
Yeah.
And now we were a little bit more strategic and kind of put the table tucked away a little bit more, but we still find ourselves migrating towards the screen because we have, dinner trays. And so we're together, but how together, that, kind of is up for debate. It's definitely not the same thing that I experienced kind of growing up, although there wasn't a whole lot of time of consistency where we all sat down at the table always together, just due to work schedules.
Because modern life was already pulling everybody apart.
Number of things that kind of like took us out from just being together. But I kind of miss having that level of like cohesion.
Well, when we studied altars,
I knew you was gonna go there.
I mean,
I love it.
It's kind of obvious, but when we studied altars, the first helpful way we really found to define it, in the end, we expanded and grew on and from this definition, but it still stands.
Right.
An altar is a table. And we recognize that altars through all of human history, we're not talking the Bible here. We're talking everything in every culture. Really, I was going to try to name exceptions, but when you actually understand an altar, there really aren't exceptions, but conscious altars, where people built the agreements of their life at places they understood to be altars. That's only slipped a little bit out of the public consciousness in the last, I think it couldn't be more than 100 years. Mm-hmm. But even there, when it gets really important, if we need to get married or that kind of thing, we're still going to something we know is an altar. And that's funny because there it's the ultimate betrayal to leave somebody standing at the altar, right?
Yes.
But altars are tables where agreements are made and sealed with a sacred meal. And it's the function of that interplay between the host, the priest, and the guest, and the ruler of the house that owns the altar, and it's that dance between them and that sharing of that meal. And of course, if you've grown up in any church tradition that values the Lord's Supper, you've still gone to the table anywhere from every week to, at least a few times a year or that kind of thing. And so when you consider that an altar is a table where agreements are formed and sealed with a sacred meal, it seems like an odd coinkydink that the dissolution of the family union and the attrition of the family unit has coincided with the the capitulation of the family dinner table to, as we later learned, altars sit at gates.
Yeah.
And they are ports of entry. They are portals. They enable a space, a sacred space, to function as the embassy of the authority, the power, the dominion, the throne that altar represents. And so you can, by going through the altar and passing into the temple, you're now on foreign soil, and you can apply for citizenship or whatever you need to do at an embassy. And so, interestingly, it's been another gate, a different portal, a different place where there is an exchange made, and something is offered and something is consumed, and time and attention and energy are sacrificed in exchange for consumable programming that is served to you through this other gate, this other portal that has drawn us away from the family table and to this, like, we're being alone together environment of everybody.
Yeah.
It ultimately fractured out to everybody on their own device, with Netflix going in the background, a la Ergo, I guess I should say, your opening point about Netflix deciding that, well, we still need to run the programming in, pardon me, goodness, into you.
Yeah. So that was super eye-opening to figure out, or to even have Netflix admit, like, because people were complaining. The reason why Netflix even made the statement was because enough people were saying, what's going on with some of this programming? Why is it so lackluster? Why is it so just dumbed down?
Dumbed down, yeah.
And Netflix was finally saying, y'all not watching.
Yeah.
So since y'all not watching, we're going to give you we still got to create content. We'll create content that you don't have to watch. So because people are like missing out. They're like, oh, what happened? What happened? Oh, it doesn't matter.
They've dumbed us down to the point that it's a new form of accessibility that's needed.
Yes, sir.
So it's it's interesting that's the solution that they're hitting on right now. I think that that's one of the most fascinating things I've heard in a while. How did you find that?
I don't know. Maybe it was something I read online somewhere that, just.
I mean, we've noted it.
Right.
Even my kids are just like, man, the dialogue in these programs is painful.
It's terrible.
Painfully terrible.
It's like, did Scorsese, like, he wasn't available, like, for this movie? And they just keep on producing just terrible movie or terrible show after terrible show. And they can keep doing it because they know.
Wow.
You'll tune in. because you have, I guess you could say, like an altar kind of being established where you're continuing to exchange.
100%.
It's a place of exchange.
I mean, if they're bigger than a phone, we call them a tablet.
Yeah.
All these things have meaning. People can. I sneered at that stuff, but if you pay attention for long enough, and if you're not a person that sees patterns easily, the neurodivergence piece probably works in at least my favor in that regard. I've always observed patterns.
The patterns like light up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even if that's not the way your brain naturally works, the Bible says that if you lack wisdom, just ask the Lord for it. He gives it freely and he doesn't judge about it. That's what James said. So ask the Lord to let you see the patterns, because this is a universe of that's a rant. I don't even want to get into that. Just ask the Lord to let you see the patterns. Patterns be patterning.
When you said, ask the Lord for wisdom, my mind has just immediately gone to the garden.
Yeah.
And what was presented to them as an opportunity for wisdom, it was still over a shared meal.
100%.
Where an agreement was definitely being made.
Yeah. It always happens over a meal.
Yeah.
It always happens over a meal.
What blew my mind, actually, I would love for you to kind of get into this, because
you already tried to take us on a really dangerous left turn, so I'm suspicious of you tonight. A few minutes back, what was that? You said something, and I thought, this man wants to get us stoned tonight.
I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it'll come back to us.
Yeah.
Well, even before I go here, I will just say,
Jesus, y'all buckle up.
Even coming into like recording tonight, I had some of the worst Chinese food.
That sentence could have ended so many different ways.
I had the worst Chinese food I've ever eaten in my entire life.
Really?
And after one bite, I knew this was terrible.
Not Bamboo House letting you down.
It wasn't. No, don't you dare do that to Bamboo House.
Hey, listen, you won me over at that
Bamboo House has been good
meeting.
to us.
Yeah, that's some good.
I'm not even going to name the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's just
we're not
bad.
in that game.
After one bite.
Oh, I know where you go. It just dawned on me.
After one bite.
I'm sorry about that.
I knew. But I was hungry.
Oh.
Hear me now. Hear me now.
My God.
After one bite, I knew.
Oh.
But I was hungry.
My God.
And then I had to ask myself, like, I got an appetite, but I know this is trash.
Oh,
I've tasted good Chinese food. This was not it.
This was not it.
And I'm sitting there, and because of convenience, I was in a hurry. I knew we had to record tonight.
Yeah.
And I knew there wasn't going to be enough time for me to go out probably later and get something. Shoot, if I'm going to be vulnerable too. We're fasting tomorrow, so I'm just like, I want to get some food in me before we hit this fast, right?
Right.
So I kept eating. I ignored the experience. I made an allowance for a moment until finally, after about 4 or 5 bites in, I was just like, this is bad.
It's just not.
And it's going to tear up my stomach. Like, it's not worth it, you know?
It's going to wreck your insides.
It's going to wreck my insides. And I stopped. Yeah. But then, as I'm looking back, I'm getting prepared and everything for the day. I was just thinking, I was like, why did you eat that?
Yeah.
You knew it was bad.
Yeah.
And is that really a telltale sign?
Yeah.
Not to get super deep or anything, but like,
no, but it's a lesson.
A lesson of like, man, what's the state of your soul that your senses My senses.
Senses.
I looked at it, it looked terrible.
Yeah.
I smelled it, didn't smell that great either.
Yeah.
I tasted it. How many
How
confirmations
many red flags do you need?
with my senses that I ignored for me to continue to indulge in this meal? All because I wanted to meet a felt need for the moment. I don't know. Have you had that?
Oh,
That
my
experience?
Lord. It drives the entire, super processed, convenient junk food culture that we're caught up in a lot of the time. I'm, this isn't something that I say in any way, shape, or form to give myself any kind of free pass. This is just the truth. Anybody that knows me knows that I don't eat more than most people do. Never have.
Right.
I don't. I forget to eat all the time. I don't eat a lot, but for a couple of decades, I ate what was convenient, when it was convenient, and because I'm a person that likes good food, and I wasn't doing what it took to, either because of finances or even more often than that, time, effort. I wasn't doing what it took to cook or whatever and obtain good food.
Right.
So what do you do when you need convenient and fast and on some whacked out schedule late at night or whatever? You look for something palatable and attainable with a minimum of effort, because you want it now and you want it to, you don't want it to be miserable.
Right.
So you open a cellophane package or you swing through a drive-through or whatever. And so that's what got me, was eating. I heard a holistic teacher, I think he was from somewhere in Africa. I never could figure out where, not the famous, Dr. Sebi or anything like that, but he seemed like he knew a thing or two. He was giving a lecture, and I just caught a clip of it. It was in a reel, but he was saying, when you eat food, your kidneys take, I think it's your kidneys, take vitamins and nutrients from it, and your colon takes fiber to feed the biome that you have, and like your body divides it up and sends it in its components where it needs to go.
Right.
And of course, humans are the only animal that, so-called animal, humans are the only so-called mammal and even animal that does a significant portion of the processing of its food on the exterior of its body.
Of his body. Yeah, yeah.
So, we don't have a lot of the equipment that
Other animals have to like break down,
Right.
and process. Yeah.
our guts are quite short compared to any other mammal in our size category or any other primate. Everything is just set up. Our teeth are different. We have very powerful jaws and strong teeth and everything, but nothing like an ape, like a wild ape. Like they're set up to what do they call that? Macerate or masticate, whatever it is, that word. Bamboo or what, I don't know. Whatever they're eating, like tough, fibrous, raw. Other predators are eating live or fresh kill, meat and blood.
Cut through bone.
cut through bone, not, and we're not set up for all that. So we do a bunch of that. It's actually digestion that we're doing. When we butcher something or slice it up and clean it and then cook it, and all of that is actually digestion.
That's part of our digestion process that we're doing in advance.
Yes, that's why when people say I'm not eating processed food anymore, that's not true, because you're alive. You're eating processed food. What you mean is you're not eating ultra processed food. And I'm never going to flag that in conversation, because who wants to be that guy? Nobody invites that guy to the party. But on a technicality, actually,
well, actually,
it actually is. Everybody's eating processed food because we have to. That's who we are as a species. So we're doing a bunch of our digestion out there. Then we take it in, and our body sends it to all these different perfectly built machines inside of us that break it down into its components and send everything where it's needed. And then by the time it gets through that process and is pushed all the way down, sorry, y'all, through all of the bowel system and all of that, by the time it gets to the other end of the factory, and this is what the holistic teacher said that just kind of blew me away. He asked the students if they knew what comes out the other end. And of course, people had guesses. And he said, well, that's what you call it. I call that ultra processed food.
Wow. That's a spin on that.
It's actually, from what I can tell in my layman's perspective,
the correct label,
extremely accurate.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They take, there's basically four grain products type of thing. It's like soybeans, and then corn, wheat, dairy. It's four things plus three kinds of meat, basically. And those are what 85% of everything that comes in a wrapper is made out of.
Wow.
And then if you look at that huge long list of ingredients on the back of any packaging, I'm getting this information from the World Health Organization. I understand. I get it. But in this case, that's the one nice thing about the kingdom of darkness, is one of the rules is they have to say the thing. They have to tell you. Mm-hmm. They just tell you in a way that nobody's actually going to care. No, your eyes are going to glow. It's the terms and conditions thing, harkening back to the other episode. Mm-hmm. So when you look at that super long list of ingredients and you think, well, at least it's got some chicken and some, whatever the other thing is in there that makes you justify it. And you think, well, I got to get some protein. I got to get, But what you're not understanding is that the two or three ingredients you could understand, the reason they left them in a way you could understand them is because they have to bait the hook. Mm. In the form that they're in the product in, they actually should be one of those big, long chemical names that you're reading. Because what they do is they take all of those raw ingredients, they strip everything from them. Everything. Mm. And when they process things like soybean, corn, you know who gets because those are not, well, soybeans can be, but like corn is not a nutrient dense food, really. Right. It's just a sugar brick that grows in so-called nature. I mean, we invented that from out of wild stuff. Mm. But bottom line is, so the little bit of nutrients that are in those things to begin with, because they are relatively not nutrient dense compared to most of the foods God put on the earth. Those are some of the least nutritious foods. Milk is really that's not something that should be a big part of any mammalian diet. You know what I mean? that's a whole other discussion. But wheat and corn, not any of the things that were meant to be like, other than in survival scenarios,
Shouldn't be staples.
should not be staples.
Yeah.
Nor do they grow in the wild in forms that lend themselves to being staples. They lend themselves to small handfuls or making a beverage with them. Or
Right.
that's how come we got beer before we got almost anything else. But so the point of all that is, when they strip those things down, like you say, I always do this, so I'm trying not to do it, but I'm not trying to alley you off your back here. But bottom line, who gets all those nutrients? In a guess, like where do those nutrient dense parts go that get stripped out of those? Because that's the first step. When
Right.
it goes to the factory, they strip it down of everything into its components, and the nutrient dense parts are isolated.
I mean, my guess, we're not getting those nutrients.
Livestock,
Yeah.
they go straight to the farms because the animals have to eat something that's food.
Yeah.
So they go straight to the farm. Not that corn's good for them, but they're getting the part that's worth something.
Yeah.
So they get things like the germ and they get the stuff that is anything. And then the rest of it gets stripped down to its chemical components, and then they stick it all back together and they put cheap fats in it for caloric density and flavor, palm oil, those kinds of things. And they, of course, load it with sugar because that's easy energy. It'll make you have a burst of energy, plus it tastes really good and it costs virtually nothing.
Right.
And then they, because what they're doing is they're using only subsidized products, basically. And then they use the other components. They're simulating the vitamins and the nutrients that they took out of it, and they're putting them back in.
Wow.
In cheap forms. And the vast majority of that stuff that I've been able to look into, there's not even been anything close to respectable scientific work done on whether or not the forms of the vitamins and nutrients that they're putting in it are bioavailable. So they're putting it in there.
Come on.
So that it can be on the list. And so that if you look up riboflavin or whatever it is, you're like, what in the world is that? You're going to be like, oh, that's just vitamin. What? You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, okay, that's good. Well, it was good when God put it in there. But actually, nobody has any idea whether it's good at this point, you know.
That is, man, I'm tripping out because they're not telling us this.
No, except
in ways that we would
lost in the noise.
Yeah,
and you have to pay too much attention.
Right. That I'm looking up because I remember your notes on
ultra processed food.
Yeah, that you never really got deep into on Sunday. And something you said, I remember reading, talking about ultra processed food is cheaper to produce by far, right?
Yep.
It lasts, it's a higher shelf life.
Yep.
It's convenient, easy to access. It's optimal for mass production. It's lab concocted from the waste after a few cash crops are fed to animals.
Yep.
Which is what you kind of touched on. All nutrition has been stripped away, and the animals are the ones that get the food, but we get the waste, combined with isolated or synthesized vitamins, nutrients for value, and the rest of the additives provide flavor and texture.
But what did you say right there in the middle? You said the animals get the nutrients and we get the what?
The waste.
So tell me that guy I was listening to is wrong.
I mean, you're right.
You just said it. And what he said he said the simplest way to identify how to get this out of your diet is take anything out of your diet that comes in a wrapper. Anything that comes in a wrapper is shelf stable.
Yeah.
And is too cheap for what it claims to be. So like a chicken slider, you can't have a piece of chicken on a sandwich that costs $1.
Right.
I don't know what that is, but it's not chicken like you're thinking chicken.
Yeah.
If you look up pink slime sometime, if you want to never sleep again. Pink slime is one of the key ingredients of stuff you've eaten a lot.
Crazy when they've done documentaries on that. Yeah, it's wild.
And what's crazy about it is they have put. You're right. They don't tell us because they don't tell us in a way that would
invoke action.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. They do not tell. They tell us in a way that is entertaining, or so boring. So either it's entertaining and you already got what you wanted out of it by watching the documentary. You got your little dopamine hit that you were needing, and now you're done with it, and your brain files it in the never needed again category.
Yes,
Once in a while, when you're at the drive-thru at McDonald's, you start to flash to a memory of that documentary, and then you put it out of your head because why? Convenience, price, it's late, you don't want to cook, whatever. So they either give it to you that way, where your brain reward system is like, nah, I already got everything you can out of that, and you file it away. Or they give it to you in these big, long papers that are often behind a paywall. But even if you can go onto the World Health Organization, most of this stuff, if you go on to CIA.gov, if you go on to World Health Organization, FDA, if you go to most of these websites, you can actually find everything you actually need right out there in the public eye. Because it's the best place for them to hide it.
An open site.
Because nobody is reading it, but they can say it's publicly available. And it is mind-numbingly boring to try to read. So back to that other night, if we're going to have to deal with the enemy's tools anyway, why not use them against him? So download the paper, pop it in ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT to turn it into something you can stand to read.
Right. Make it fun.
Make it fun. Give me the bullet points. Tell me what I should really be worried about. Whatever. It's not perfect. It's a lot more than you've got right now.
Absolutely. I ran across or stumbled across a video, and they were saying when you find out how McDonald's fries are made and why they're so addicting, it will terrify you.
Yeah.
Like the process that they go through to get these golden fries.
Yes.
And like even the quality control that they go through to get these French fries so perfectly golden and perfect. I mean, from the white potatoes that they use and how they soak them in so much chemicals, I believe it's dangerous and almost deadly to the people that is handling them for 10 plus days, I believe. I don't remember how many days it is. Where they have to like lock it away in like a warehouse. Mm-hmm. Lock it up. Mm-hmm. And nobody can touch it or come near it because it'll kill you. Mm-hmm. And then once it's ready, then they can handle it again. And then they go through the process of like slicing them down. And then they're adding so many additives to include all the different animal fats that give it its distinct flavor, its distinct color, and for it to be as stable as possible for it to ship all across the world. It's wild.
And we say, when you bite into that perfect golden fry. And who hasn't eaten a McDonald's fry and thought, like, how come they just always be hitting? Always.
Always.
Nothing else at McDonald's, in my humble opinion, hits. But, well, breakfast. But back when I was still eating pork, have you ever pulled a McDonald's breakfast sandwich? Do you like McDonald's breakfast sandwiches?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, let's be honest.
Yeah, the McGriddles.
They're hitting. You ever pulled one apart and tried the components?
No.
It's genuinely one of the worst, like, culinary experiences you can have. It's a gastric nightmare. So you
can strip paint with the spray, I feel like.
Bro, listen. You take one bite. Here's the deal. You take one bite of that sausage that they put in the McMuffin.
Uh-huh.
And I took the second bite because I could not believe what my brain went into. Like, my brain froze up and was like, I forgot to taste that. And I tried it again and I was like, oh no, that's just rubber with caramel color.
That's it.
And so then I started trying the different components. And this is years before I was like having any kind of awakening about any of that stuff or consciously. And I'm sitting there with this sandwich. And what I said is what a lot of us have said when we grabbed that first fry and it was just hitting. I put it all back together and I took a bite of it all together. And it was, it was what you went there for. And I'm looking at that thing. I'm thinking about what the components were. And I'm looking at what the product is. And I said, what sorcery is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't even know. We just prophesied. We don't even understand.
Goodness.
At any other time in history, if someone watched someone turn potatoes into radioactive or whatever it is, something that you can't come in contact with for a while, then pull them out and turn them into, complete tasteless starch paste and dry them into powder and whatever all they're doing, and then squeeze them into these shapes and drop them in this sizzling oil, and you taste that fry at any other time in history, they would have said, oh, well, they have a sorcerer working back there.
100%. It's alchemy.
It's alchemy. It is 100% alchemy, except when we were looking at alchemy earlier in the year, and we never totally got into that either. That's still in a bunch of notes.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with alchemy is that the theory of alchemy contains a lot of wisdom. Like a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
Isaac Newton wrote more on alchemy than he did on anything else in his life. And when people today see that, they stupidly say, that was ignorant, but this science that he did here was good.
It's like, wait a minute.
That is profoundly foolish to think that. The alchemy is him working his mind around the secrets of the universe. The science is the outflow of the wisdom he derived from that.
Now we cooking. There he is.
But now what I just said out of context is terrible, because alchemy as a study is a Luciferian discipline.
Right.
The Bible doesn't say Lucifer doesn't have knowledge. It says he corrupted his knowledge. Our problem is we don't have knowledge. Now, I will admit I am cooking right there.
That's good.
Why do God's people perish?
Lack of knowledge.
Why is Lucifer being judged?
For giving out knowledge.
For corrupting it, right?
Yeah.
Giving it out with strings attached.
Right.
That's the serpent story.
Yeah.
So Lucifer embezzled God's glory. That's what he did.
Mm.
So he was cooking the books. He gave out information that was supposed to be IP, supposed to be protected.
Yeah.
And they were responsible. Those watchers were responsible to steward that knowledge from God through us as we grew into the ability and the need for it as we advanced the garden across the earth. But he knew that if he could slip us some behind the factory, he could line his pockets with some of God's prophets, Profits.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
And just try to cover for it. That wasn't the first thing he ever did wrong, but that was one of the things
Right.
that him and a whole lot of other folks are in trouble over. So they taught us all these arts, but those arts come from God. The knowledge within them comes from God. The sacred sciences and all that, which is everything in the modern world has a new name, but it's all the same stuff. So alchemy is a dangerous territory because you're looking at the kingdom of darkness, the way the kingdom of darkness chose to package the wisdom of God for the benefit of the kingdom of darkness. So you have to be super careful looking into that stuff.
Yeah.
But that is not to say that there is not great wisdom there. There's great knowledge there, minimally, great knowledge. And that is what we lack. Now, as to how we go about getting it, that determines the outcome of the story.
There's a rub.
But most of the time, if we're sold out to the kingdom of God, we just say, well, that's not for us. When it's the glory of God to conceal a matter and it's the glory of royalty to seek it out, right?
Right.
So the problem with alchemy is because it is a Luciferian exercise, when you get to the end of the journey, all of the theory of alchemy teaches you the mysteries of the universe. Do not tread those waters without accountability and without the Holy Ghost, because there is dangerous, dangerous territory there. Please. And I'm saying that as much to me as to anybody else.
Yeah.
But what is there is the mysteries of the universe. But when you get to the end of it, there's always futility because, and here's why, you can't turn anything in this realm into gold. Or silver, for that matter. Both of those things come from somewhere else. Gold comes from somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, outside of our star system. And silver, it's been a while since I looked at it. I think silver might be the residue of the formation of stars. I'm not, one way or the other, those things come from outside our closed system here. So they are gifts from God in the most literal sense.
Right.
Diamonds, you can cut in anytime you want, bro, because I feel like I'm ranting at this point.
No, you're good. I'm locked in.
Diamonds are not only not forever, diamonds are a complete illusion. Sorry, ladies.
Ooh, let's talk about it.
Diamonds are an illusion. The only thing that gives them any value is the blood that has been sacrificed for them. Diamonds are a mirage. There's plenty of it. We can make more of it easily. We cannot make gold no matter how hard we try. We can make diamonds in our sleep. And we do.
I mean, we do. You're right.
But the way that diamonds have been given value has been in a couple of ways that I'm aware of. One is, man, I'm feeling the Holy Ghost now, because now we're hitting the pocket that I came here meditating on, and you brought something that's now I'm seeing the convergence.
Yeah.
Because I came here thinking about arbitrage. But so diamonds are a readily available resource, especially in a lot of places in Africa and so on. Readily available. But if you kill enough people getting them out of the ground and trading them, that adds a lot of perceived value because it's cost a lot of human life.
Right.
And if you have if you have traders with bottomless pockets, you can control any market. Mm-hmm. So what they have done, for instance, when the law of supply and demand was pushing down on the diamond market, and diamonds were starting to head in the direction that they really belong, which is like a semi-precious metal or whatever, or stone or whatever. Like it's nice, but it should be like other semi-precious stuff.
Right.
When it starts to head that direction, they buy it up. The same people that sold it snap it all up and hold it and eke it out little by little to the market until the price is where they want it. So diamonds are a complete illusion from end to end.
It's a show game.
It's marketing.
Yeah.
It's marketing, it's blood sacrifice, and it's control, market control. And that's how they turn diamonds into diamonds. I pray on a regular basis that God would wake his people up to the diamond illusion so that people can stop going into debt, trying to impress each other in little mating rituals off the back of money that they could be, and I'm not even going to say investing into the kingdom, you know, like it is investing into the kingdom, but it doesn't have to be investing into the kingdom by giving to your house of worship. Here's going to shock people. If you're living for God, truly, investing in your family can be investing into the kingdom.
Absolutely. Especially at the rate of return.
Hello?
Right.
So instead of $20,000 for an illusion, I pray for the day to come when the Lord's people would invest in some land, just a half an acre, put a little house on it. You're going to do so much more for your family.
That's why they call it real estate.
Real. Now you're cooking.
When I first heard that, when someone kind of broke that down about the value or the perceived value that we have in all of these material things, and they're like, really, the last real asset is land. They're not making any more of that.
Nope.
What we have is what we have. And there's blood spilt over the little that we have.
Yep.
So that's fascinating.
It is. And the ethics of owning land are not really dubious as long as you're not a jerk about it. The ethics of some other limited resources like water get dubious really fast.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with some of that stuff. But land, man, gold, buy something real. But if it's people try to tell me we're not living in an illusion. I'm sorry. We're living in the upside down. We're not only living in an illusion. We're living in a speed run of the most. We're living in a Black Mirror episode. Mm-hmm. We're living in a so-called reality where a man can buy a band, a $500, $1,000 gold band, and put a $20,000 Mirage, expensive glass in it, and impress a chick into marrying him when he's a narcissistic abuser. But a good man that owns, an acre in the country and has a little tiny home on it and is working his tail off to turn all that into something for his children's children, can't get married because he can't impress a girl with a rock.
Now you meddling.
And you want me to believe that we're not living in an illusion?
100% an illusion.
We're living in a sick joke.
Yeah. The veil is starting to be lifted a little bit now.
Yeah.
Especially with like things like moissanite and just other precious stones that are, their perceived value is definitely starting to climb.
Yes.
And people are starting to like, I mean, even people like athletes and actors, actresses are even coming out and saying, like, I believe it was athletes that were saying, like, I wear fake diamonds and chains all the time.
Yeah.
In public.
Yeah.
It's all fake.
Yeah.
He's like, why would I spend money on the real stuff? People know my net worth. They know I can. But why would I do that?
Yeah.
It's all, like I said, it's an illusion. I'm trying to present or project this image that someone is going to add value to it when it holds really no real intrinsic value all by itself. I see how that ties together even with, again, back to the foods that we are eating. Like, you give a toddler a carrot, some celery, cucumber out the ground, knowing it has a level of nutritional value that their body is going to need, that's going to help them. It's going to provide real energy, not a cheap dopamine hit, no crash at the end, promote digestive. I mean, like, you could just list all the different ways that it will help them. But no, I'd rather have a bag of Skittles.
100%.
Why? It's because of and the bag of Skittles might cost more.
Yep. And have no nutritional value. Bright colors, simple packaging, shelf stable, quick taste reward.
Yeah.
Energy flash with a crash. And y'all, I promise you, this conversation, I can see where it's going. So I know it sounds like multiple rants stuck together. That's because just like if you want to see God, you have to look at the fractals and watch how they echo out and in, and you can begin to understand components of God. It's the same with decrypting the illusion that the enemy has so craftily woven around us, the World Wide Web of lies that he has constructed for us to inhabit. You have to look at the fractals of it, and then the pieces start to fall into place. Mm-hmm. But you're exactly right. It does tie back to the food, and what you have when we're and I want to say one quick personal note. When we got married, I promised my bride that when the moment came that we could, I would improve upon the rock in her gorgeous band. And I just want to say, for the record, that I'm not trying to get out of that.
And she's turning off the episode right now and calling your phone. I love it.
But as with many other things in our life, we just have consistently chosen to prioritize other things.
My wife too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about is priorities. How much it's worth to you to have these symbols that we're offered, these tokens that we're offered. So you look at things that have intrinsic value. They come from God. Especially things that have that kind of enduring value, you know, gold, silver. I think rubies are like that. So when alchemy hits the end of the trail, and the only problem with all the theory of alchemy is so brilliant, but the reason people think that Isaac Newton was being a fool when he was writing all that out, all that Masonic knowledge, when he was putting all that together, and somehow people are so I guess the word is programmed.
Yeah.
That I was going to say something less charitable, but the Bible does use the word foolish. But somehow people are so programmed that they could look at someone like Isaac Newton and say, all of this stuff was just tomfoolery and has nothing to do with the fact that he produced this stuff, which is great. And I wouldn't want to just jump to that conclusion because the same mind was working over both of them. And it's hard to imagine that there's something kept him scribbling in those alchemy papers. So what was it? Well, when you actually look at what alchemists have been saying for all these years, they're using gold as a metaphor. They're using lead as a metaphor.
Yeah.
They're using the elements as metaphors to describe very, very, very keen insights on the nature of how the universe actually works. But when you get to the end of that line and you run into the fly in the ointment, which is, doesn't matter how much you understand about the nature of the universe, you are not God. It's the same fly in the ointment that the adversary ran into. It's what started all this. No matter what you do, you can apply all of the laws and the rules and the principles that you've learned, but at the end of it all, nobody to this day has produced gold. And
nope.
I mean, here's an embarrassing fact. There's a bacteria strain that has been developed in labs that eats plastic and poops gold. It's a form of E. coli, if I'm not mistaken. It eats plastic and poops microscopic quantities of gold. But we can't make it. If you ever wanted to feel cut back down to size in the universe, God has created bacteria that we developed into strains by isolating traits he placed within them that can do this. But we, with all the knowledge of the ages and the wisdom of the ages, can't do that.
You can't produce his cement.
Right. And so when you get to that issue, I think it leaves you with a fundamental problem, which is, what do we do with all this knowledge? And now this, what we're about to say right here, if you will ask the Lord to give you wisdom on this, this can be the Rosetta Stone that will decrypt the illusion for you and bring you into an awareness of what is actually taking place around us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're involved in it. This is the fundamental problem. What I'm describing about the limit of where the study of something like alchemy can get you. This is the fundamental fly in the ointment that the kingdom of darkness always runs into. When it comes to life force, when it comes to what CERN calls the God particle.
The God particle,
When it comes to gold and silver, true riches, there's something about the source that they can't access. There's a block. There's a paywall. The Bible calls it a cherub with a flaming sword that stands outside the gate of Eden to guard the path to the tree of life. That's what this is. That's why when we do finally get around the no trespassing sign and make our way back to the fountain of youth, and we will, if Revelation is to be believed, we will. The price we will pay for that is we will not find eternal life. We will just become the undead damned.
Explain.
Men will beg God to kill them and they won't be able to die.
Oh, yeah.
They will cry out to the rocks and the hills, fall upon us, for fear of what is coming upon the earth. So we will get these technocrats and everybody that are trying to hack the ability to upload consciousness into the cloud and
the whole
Neuralink and all that. Something will work. We'll get there. But when we get there, we're going to find hell, not heaven. And so, because that's what demons are experiencing.
Yeah.
Is eternal death. Right? They are not alive like we think of being alive. They are undead, which is like the simplest way I could think to describe it right now is to be always dying but never dead, or to be, it's like,
or dying but not destroyed.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It's so when they hit that wall and that flaming sword stops them from vandalizing the tree of life and from embezzling source. They need, like, I don't call God source because I'm not of that general school of thought. Yeah. So I don't refer to God as source, but it's not inaccurate. It's very impersonal, and we are deeply blessed to know our Creator in a highly personal way,
right? Which
is a mind-bending privilege that we don't spend nearly enough time reveling in. But it is not inaccurate to refer to, in my opinion, to refer to our Creator as source. That is exactly what He is. that life force that God is, and that is God, and that has been breathed into the nostrils of Adam's race and created living souls. That's the same place that gold is coming from. That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every good and perfect gift comes down from above, from the Father of lights. Not everything good in this life is directly from God, but everything good and perfect, everything good and complete. Is directly from God. Some of the other stuff is derivative and can be falsely obtained and synthesized, but not the true riches.
I just read something that made so much sense, is that we think that discernment is deciding between bad and good, when really discernment is deciding between good and almost good.
Right.
Like really having, like, what do you do when you're faced with a decision between something that is good and something that is also kind of good?
Yep. I just heard it said almost exactly that way, but it was the way they finished that was sometimes it is deciding between good and God. It's a very similar idea.
Right.
So that leaves the kingdom of darkness with a profound problem. And here I'm talking not about the cabal and all that. I'm talking about their bosses, the people there on the payroll, the entities they are on the payroll of, and the forces that they are on the payroll of, the dominions and thrones that they represent.
Right.
They have to sustain. Now, y'all, this isn't, I would guard my words a little more, and I would try to back myself a little better on a Sunday morning, and some of this I would not get into. This is a conversation.
Yeah.
Your responsibility is to seek these things out and see if they be so. And if I say something and it strikes you as crazy and you go research it and you can't figure out, just flag it and ask the Lord to reveal whatever you need at the time that you need it. So don't stress it.
Yeah.
But my observation is what appears to be to me is, and I'm not alone in this at all, that in order to access that which they cannot synthesize, that which they cannot embezzle, that which they cannot obtain, that which they cannot even use. If hell caught lightning in a bottle, if they were able to hijack true divine source energy, riches of God, they wouldn't be able to, it would not be bioavailable to them.
That's crazy.
So a demon can't process love. That's why you don't show them love. Because love can reach anybody. But they don't have the capacity to process it. So it's literally pearls before swine.
Yeah.
The only one that it can, because love is an agreement that forms a bond and attachment, the only one that's going to be affected is you.
Hold on. This just hit me. And we've heard the phrase casting pearls before swine.
Right.
What if why that is such a bad thing is because the pearl has already gone through such a deep level of processing to make it as valuable that it is. And of course the swine, they'll consume anything.
Yeah, that's all they know. That's all they can do with it. Consume it.
But they won't value, of course, what it took
No.
to be made.
And they'll pass it out the other end.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, so it's an insult to ultimately the creator. But even to the pearl itself and the oyster that produced it.
Mm.
So in order to access that source energy, because everything is energy, right? So even when we talk about gold and silver from a physics standpoint and a metaphysics standpoint, but from a physics standpoint, we're talking about energy in a wavelength that produces mass. So in order to access that, what they have to do, and you're going to like this little callback, they don't have the kingdom of darkness, those entities, I've heard them called lower astral beings, whatever.
Right.
We know who they are. They're the ones we do wrestle against. In order to access that, they don't have the internal equipment to derive any value from love, joy, peace, patience, gold, silver, true God-given gifts. So what they have to do is they have to process them outside of themselves until they are broken down enough, corrupted enough that they can obtain, they can leach what they need out of it.
Come on.
Which means
Goodness.
they need a kitchen filled with sweating line cooks who labor all day over various equipment and pots and kettles and blenders and corrupting that which is good, that which is pleasant, that which is of good report, and breaking it down into its components and stripping it of its value and feeding its best pieces to the swine and synthesizing a form of sustenance that they can do something with, like fear and hate and division and misery and shame, and package it in a way that they can access that energy and feed the beast. So the way that the kingdom of darkness winds up using knowledge like alchemy, because they cannot produce the gold, is they actually take gold and produce lead. So they are reverse engineering the process.
Yeah.
So what alchemy taught them was not how to turn lead into gold. It taught them how to turn gold into lead.
Let's take what's outside of this realm and let's reduce it
to its lowest form in this realm and corrupt it to the point that we can consume it and excrete waste into this world.
Goodness gracious.
So,
Man. I just want to let that sizzle a little bit because that's crazy when you think
I
about it.
told you if folks will let God expand on this can be a Rosetta Stone. If you figure this piece out,
And you see how it plays out in our lives, just, and you follow the patterns, like you said, consistently of like what's sacred. I mean, we go down the list from marriage, family, music, worship, the altar. I mean, you can just start listing out things that have been taken, reduced to its lowest form possible, and presented as like a counterfeit. My goodness gracious.
how I mean, we're down in this cave. Should we feel around it all?
Let's do it. Yeah.
If you look at society and you identify the most marginalized groups, the most oppressed demographics, if you go to the neighborhoods, start on the rich side of town and move across the tracks and go over to the other side of town and stop in each place and see what music they're producing, what art forms are coming out of there, and move across to see what they are producing and observe it, you'll see two things in my experience happening. You'll see that the more oppression that there is, the more negative the energy that tends to come out of
Yes, sir.
those art forms. I'm trying to be really careful. And other forms of what is produced. Where do you go if you need drugs?
Yeah.
If you want to buy a friend for an hour, where do you go, right?
Right.
But if you hang around, especially I've observed this on the side of town where all that negativity seems to be reaching its peak, you'll also find something else. You'll find grandmas taking Wonder Bread and cheap, Spam and government cheese and producing masterpieces of delight for the people they love, who will gather at their table and make lifelong memories of the best times with the happiest faces and wisdom flowing like wine and songs, like This Little Light of Mine coming from grandma while she's whipping it all up. And you'll find what the alchemists have been chasing the whole time. You'll find somebody turning lead into gold. And you will find, so what do you think soul food is? What do you think, like, some of the best things in the world have come out of people who
leftovers
broke free in some aspect of their life from the illusion and let love lead because that's what they did. They looked at the people they love and they looked at the resources they had and they thought, how can I communicate this love to them. I can't buy what I feel like they deserve, but I can put my foot in it and they'll never forget it. And so I've noticed that it seems like, you know, maybe you're over on the first side of town and you find filet mignon and you find, you know, light jazz and classical music and all this, right? But number one, on a lot of that stuff, if you trace it back, like you start tracing that light jazz back, you're going to wind up back in that other neighborhood because that's where it came from. But for another thing, what you're going to see is that in a lot of ways, all that's happening is the way that these things have to be processed for the spiritual forces that rule that area to access them is different. So in the fancy neighborhood, yeah, you know, you're going to have a lot less sex, drugs, and murder in the music. Maybe, kind of. At least packaged way more chill, way more smooth, right? You're going to find a lot of things that seem more godly, more positive, more. But what's kind of funny to me about it is that all that stuff comes along with an intense amount of greed and social isolation. You won't find a lot of people laughing around tables together. Grandma's not going to even go in the kitchen because there's staff there that do all that. And so you find that it looks like they're making gold. But if you just peek beneath the surface, you start to wonder, is it? Or is it just basically a very sophisticated, what's the thing where you can shine light and make something pop up and look like it's like you can use a mirror and a projection and you can make it look like there's a person standing there. Holograph.
Hologram, yeah.
Is it a holographic world where everything is packaged to look like we're making gold over here? But if you go just beneath the surface of that, you find isolation, you know, distrust, mistrust, bigotry, misery, human misery. And then a lot of times it feels like if you go over to the other side of town again, the other side, and you see all this very in-your-face negativity and darkness, and I'm not excusing it. It is a product of the spirits that rule over there. That's what they want. That's what they feed off of.
Right.
And you do find it becoming cruder and cruder the deeper the oppression goes. It's almost, to me, it almost feels like maybe lower level spirits tend to rule in those places. So they need it broken down into these terrible components. You know what I mean?
At a granular level.
Yeah. But if you peel back the surface of oppression and darkness, and you tend to bump into a shocking amount of love and people just trying to like do right by the people that are depending on them. And it's just interesting to me. I'm spitballing here, but what I'm saying is I have observed that, to me it appears, this process of reverse engineering alchemy to take gold and turn it into lead, you can observe it across society if you're looking for it. You can see the gold, the talent, just the raw talent and skill that God has given some people and what they've developed it into. But you can see the corruption in the output, and you can see how that's feeding that dark kingdom and how that reverse alchemy is working. But you also see people who have no idea about the secrets of the universe. They have no clue about, you know, this the mechanics of this stuff that we're talking about. But because they have God on the inside, because they have either God or godliness, some of them they got Jesus in there. And some of them it's just there's a lot of the godliness left in them that God put in humanity. They're doing the thing that the alchemists were chasing in the first place. They're doing it.
Actually doing it, yeah.
They're doing the real thing. And so when you really start to unpackage this, you realize things like the ultra processed food industry and all that. Again, I'm always telling our church, you know that if you want to understand the kingdom of darkness, don't go to a conference. I mean, I'm not saying don't, but you don't have to.
Don't.
Just look at how it do.
Yeah.
Look at how big pharma works. Look at how the world banking system works. Understand wisdom. Look at how government functions. Look at how it all operates.
Yeah.
Understand what a parasite is and how it interacts with life, and you will know. And you will begin to understand, like the grandma on that side of town just doing it by instinct or by the Spirit of God within her, you will begin to understand how to be Antikemi.
So this is where I wanted to go earlier before we went to the trash Chinese food that I had.
Hashtag relatable.
I really, with what you said so far, has been like powerful. But with that also being said, can you break down how the meal that Jacob was preparing for his father and how Esau came in and corrupted it in a lot of ways? But I just now started to understand like some of the cultural background between that story. Like it was just a regular Bible story for me growing up. It was like, you know, Jacob is just cooking the pot of beans and here comes Esau, impatient, and just gives away his birthright because he's hungry. But there's so many other layers to that story that I don't feel are just leaping off the page in Genesis. But when you start to like combine it with some of the cultural context and understanding why Jacob was cooking this particular meal specifically and what took place in that transaction and that covenant that was established, like I just would love for you to kind of unpack that.
You said something to me about that the other day about the issue of the cooking down of the lentils, and make that comment. Do you remember that comment?
Yeah, so doing a little bit of research about that is that Jacob was cooking a very specific meal. And the lentils, the red bean stew, if I remember correctly, they're supposed to cook for a certain amount of time and they are going to change color. But if you don't allow them to cook, to actually process appropriately, then you basically lose all the nutrients, everything that you need from that meal. And Jacob had no value. Esau had no value or didn't see any value in that particular meal or who it was for. He was, from what I understood, like Jacob was cooking it for his father.
Yeah, it was the traditional "you're sick and I love you." It was chicken soup. I mean, it was lentil stew, but
Yeah.
my understanding is that was the traditional meal for those that are
Morning.
Yeah, it's like either somebody died or somebody's dying or
Right.
whatever. And so this is comfort food, right?
Yeah, from what
Gentle.
from what I understood, it was like Abraham had just passed.
Yeah.
And so Isaac is
Isaac is
in mourning.
Yes.
And so Jacob is now trying to comfort his father based upon his grandfather's death.
Yes.
And you have Esau, who is the firstborn, who traditionally is supposed to.
He should have been in the kitchen.
He should have been cooking that meal and preparing it to serve to his father as the firstborn, but he was out doing what he wanted to do. His favorite pastime was hunt. And so Jacob is now taking the responsibility and the accountability of still serving this traditional dish to his father. And here comes like Esau, just like a slob almost. Zero respect for what he is cooking, why he's cooking it, or even the process that it takes.
What does that story remind you of? And we're doing it. You're absolutely right to bring it up. But I want people to. We're talking about recognizing patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So I want us to take a second here, based off of what you just said, because to me that's my understanding. What you just said is a very good, helpful summary in my mind of what was going on there. And we'll come back to it because we can unpack that a little bit. It's helpful. But does this scene remind us of anything? If we're looking for patterns emerging, this is early in the scriptural narrative.
Right.
We're still in fairly early Genesis here. So does this scene, do we see fractals of anything in this scene to you? If I know we're recording late at night, so if it doesn't jump to you, I'll just.
Yeah, it's not jumping to me right now.
So I would say, why does the story of selling one's birthright over a meal sound familiar? I mean, we got 3 chapters in to this book, and we sold our birthright for a meal. Genesis 3.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about that is, because in the Hebrew, and I'm not a Hebrew scholar, I just am a person that reads way too much, but the funny thing about the way the Hebrew is written is, to me, from what I've been able to understand of how the Hebrew text reads, a lot more of the clues, the Lord left a lot of crumbs that we're having to, we don't have those crumbs. We're having to find the treasure on a map that has a lot of deterioration. Mm-hmm. So because of what it happens to the story when you translate it into English, a lot of the clues are found in alliterative, poetic references, the cadence. One story reads like another story. There's plays on words that and one of those is this Adam, which is Adam is a whole play on words with Adamah, which is earth, specifically red clay earth, right? Sorry. So God creates this man, this human, and calls him Adam because I took him from the Adamah, right? And so here's this kind of reddish tinged, no matter what skin color you have, it seems to me like red tinges being in the mix are just part of the package.
Yeah.
So he takes this red clay and he makes this man that's got these reddish, tones, and he calls him Adam because he took him from the Adamah, and then of course Eve is bone of his bone and flesh of his flesh, and so she's of the same substance, and then Eve's over here interacting with this mysterious serpent, and I just remembered the trapdoor you tried to open under my feet earlier, because it just came up in my mind again. When you start talking about energy gates, you start talking about the they can't get in the eye gate anymore,
yeah.
so now they want in the ear. I'm like, you really trying to get me stoned tonight? They're not ready for that, bro.
We'll save that conversation.
My man trying to get us killed. And you know exactly what you're doing. But this actually ties to that, because if you can receive it, the Lord can give you layers of understanding on the way this story is written, because the wisdom of the universe, you don't have to go to alchemy. When I really hope people don't misunderstand the stuff I was saying about alchemy.
Right.
You never have to go to the opposition to understand the position. You don't have to go to corrupted resources to learn about the source. You can go to source. You go to our Father.
Right.
But all I was trying to say is we don't tend to do that, so we lack knowledge. They have knowledge, but they're corrupting it, right? But you don't have to go to alchemy. The same mysteries of the universe are encoded in the Word of God, except they're encoded in a way that by the time you develop the maturity to digest them, and the less that you need the Word of God prepared in the kitchen of a preacher and served in a sermon format, the less processing you need somebody else to do for you in order to package the Word of God in a way that you can derive nutrient value from it, the more robust the nutrient value you're going to gain from the Word. So the more that you can learn to go to the Word yourself and mine it, there are layers of riches in these stories that I'm just going to say, I don't think that the people listening to this podcast can fathom, because I know that I keep finding layers that I can't fathom.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that I haven't gotten to the bottom of it. And I've been down so deep on some of these things that I would absolutely be stoned and called a heretic online if I said those things out loud. Some of these things, you have to do the work. You have to develop the maturity. You have to exercise your senses to be able to go to strong meat. Yeah. And then the Spirit downloads them to you. We're not trying to do all that work for you. That's the opposite of what this podcast is. We're trying to point you in the right direction, give you the right tools, Then
go dig.
Yeah.
Search. Pray.
So there are layers here, layers that we're skipping. But let's just say Adam represents the doing side of human existence. Eve represents the being and thinking side, right? So Adam is out here. He's supposed to be gardening and all that. But every time you see this red nature alluded to, there's a hint in the Bible to you that we could be dealing with the carnal nature here. This red,
I see the pattern.
Right?
Yeah.
This red theme is telling you something. It just is. It's a layer that develops. If you understand anything at all about the original tongue, you start to realize, oh, red is a flag. It's telling me. So God put this very meaty being in this garden.
This detail. It's
Yeah.
not just
No.
haphazard. Yeah.
No, it's telling you something.
Right.
When God breathed into the meat bag, he became a living soul. But when we're talking about the meat bag, that red, Adam, we're talking about something very earthy, right? And so Eve is over here, the thinking, being, emoting side of humanity is over here. I've always wondered, because we have no idea how much time passed that they were in that garden.
Don't.
And you know that for a hot minute, even if you're not walking around naked, when you first get married, you be on each other like white on rice for
Right.
a while.
Right.
Until the dopamine and the serotonin and all that start calming down. There's that honeymoon period, right? It's well known. There's a couple of years there where you're just riding the wave together, right? So apparently Adam and Eve, by the time Eve succumbs, they've been together long enough. The dopamine, the serotonin, all that, they love each other, but he's off doing his thing. He's in the man cave, and she's over here.
Talking to serpents.
Right. And that's the serpent layer is right there with the energy gates layer that I'm not trying to get into tonight. But Eve's over here pondering, and something in what I will say regarding that little mystery there is something is awakening inside of her.
Yeah.
And awareness is turning over in its sleep. And I've always wondered how many sets of Eve's footprints are around that tree.
Oh my goodness.
Like, how well worn was that path by the time it got to her?
My goodness.
Because she was very comfortable with that serpent. I don't feel like that happened on the first run.
Right.
That's just me. But you know what I'm saying?
I've never thought of it like that.
Well, I've said it in my sermons.
Well, I missed it.
But you know what? Like, bro, you know that the grass wasn't growing good around the bottom of that tree.
Yeah.
I feel like it just feels logical, understanding human nature. I don't think 2 days after Adam and Eve discovered each other,
she's over here just rebellious.
doing her yeah, right?
Yeah, right.
That's not how that happened.
No.
So this conversation develops. And it's this subtle repositioning. It's programming. Did God really say, you shall not eat of the fruit of any of the trees in the garden, neither touch them nor in the day, And Eve pushes back on some of it and falls for some of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, no, we can eat of most of them. But, we can't eat of this one or touch it. Which has always been the lie. This is the same reason people have a reaction when you start to look into real knowledge. Oh, that's witchcraft. So you think that hell creates stuff that, like, you must believe hell creates stuff that was never in God's hands. The devil is a thief, not a creative.
Not at all.
So this thing about you can't consume the fruit of the tree of knowledge and you can't even touch knowledge, that's never what he said. It's never what he said.
Never.
So Eve takes an offer. She sees that the tree is good for food, that it's pleasant to the eyes, and desirable to make one wise. She puts forth her hand, she takes some of the fruit, she eats. And now Mr. Redman pops up out of nowhere. Adam, all of a sudden, is by her side. And, of course, in the Bible, Redman doesn't have any of the associations that it does in our culture.
Right.
But the Bible is wanting us to notice the fleshy guy all of a sudden is right there by her side. And she gives some to him also, and he eats, right? And they have an awakening. And they come out of innocence into awareness and ego.
That's crazy.
And the birthright is gone.
Dominion.
Jesus had to buy it back. The birthright is gone. And what'd they get out of it? A little meal that it wasn't time for.
That's so good.
So flash forward. Go ahead. So
yeah, just tying this into Jacob and Esau is, please keep going.
So the Bible says, hey, there was these two brothers, and they were having this struggle because the heel grabber was trying to get out of the womb, but the hairy man got ahead of him. And he was born first, but he came out with this guy's hand attached to his heel, these twins. And so they named the runt that couldn't get out first, was trying to, but couldn't. They named him Jacob, the heel grabber, the deceiver, right? The conniver. But the other guy, who was hairy and red all over, they called Edom. And you're supposed to go,
wait a minute.
But in English, it just doesn't read. It's a different vowel. It's all of that. But it's all this cadence in the Hebrew of Adam from the Adamah. And now this is clue number one. Edom? Oh, so we're back to this
red
motif. Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this red motif. And then it tells the story of how they grow up and all of that. And Jacob is a dweller in tents and a keeper of flocks. Esau, Edom, on the other hand, Esau is a mighty hunter, right?
Right.
Which also has other...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But a hunter in the Hebrew, it's a chaser. It's someone who's strong in the chase. It's a go-getter.
Yeah.
Humans are the only predator who's not, we also are basically the only one that makes weapons. There's like a couple instances of that happening, like with certain apes. Mm-hmm. Not much. But we make weapons and all that. But the true distinctive with the human from every other predator, I don't know if you know this, is we're the only predator whose natural mode of hunting is that we run our prey to failure. So our legs and feet are designed by God, and our pulmonary system.
We can overtake them.
we can wear them out.
Yeah.
So when we're in our natural habitat and we don't have all these tools and implements and everything, the best thing for us to do, because we can't sink our teeth into the neck of an antelope. So the best thing for us to do is to chase that thing until it collapses.
We can endure.
We can endure.
Yeah.
And there's no other creature on the planet that can run like we can run. Not the endurance side of it.
Right.
The problem in the modern world is that the way that our footwear has been designed has completely destroyed that capability. We can't do it now. But if we go around barefoot from when we're born and all that, and we're in our natural habitat, that's what we can do, right? So a hunter is this guy that's really on his grind set. He's in the chase. He's an adventurer, and it's a man of the fields.
Mm-hmm.
And so the red hairy man, the runner, the go-getter, the guy that's got the hunger for the chase, his dad, and he's the favorite son, and he's got the birthright, as you pointed out.
Right.
He's the eldest son. His dad is mourning the loss of his father, alone in his tent. And Jacob, who's a dweller in tents, is listening to the heaves from the other room.
Mm.
And there's nobody. Mom was too old, probably by then, or busy. They were very wealthy. So what's Jacob going to do other than take care of Dad, even though Dad doesn't actually like me that much?
Yeah.
Mom really likes me, but he's broken. So I'm going to make him the traditional lentil stew, right? But when he was planning to serve that stew to Isaac, my understanding is what you said. I don't believe he was going to serve him a red stew.
No.
He was going to cook the red. He was going to process the red. He was going to refine the red out of those lentils. And when it dulled, it meant that all of the stuff that is hard for our system to deal with has been broken down.
Right.
Now I'm going to bring it to him, and it'll be comfort food, right? You ever eaten a bowl of beans that wasn't quite done?
Yeah. You'll remember it.
You will remember it, and so will everyone else. But the Bible tells us what Esau was thinking about, because Esau wasn't even thinking about Isaac's back home mourning his father. Esau was that family member that you don't hear from for however long, and then the patriarch dies, and they show up at the reading of the will.
Absolutely.
That's what he did. All of a sudden, Grandpa, who sees through me like, you know what I mean? Grandpa reads me like a book. Grandpa ain't trying to promise me no beach houses, but Grandpa's dead. And all Esau, the man with the hunt, all Esau can think about is, Grandpa's dead, Dad's in control of the estate, and Dad likes me. I can get my peace. The original prodigal son.
Yeah.
Other than
right.
The one from the last meal.
Yeah.
And actually, even that's a reflection of the story of the adversary. But you get it. So that is to say, Esau, instead of cooking a bowl of lentils to comfort his father about the death of Grandpa, has gone on the hunt to try to curry favor in the family by bringing home the bacon.
Yeah.
And he comes in just thinking about that whole side of the family. And he sees that raw lentil, that red stew. And all he can think is appetite, 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 hunger,
I want it
hunger,
now.
convenience, you know what I mean? And so what does Jacob say? Sure, but it'll cost you more than you want to pay.
Yeah, I even read that Jacob more than likely was like disgusted
Yeah,
by his brother, and like he doesn't deserve
Right.
the birthright. Like I'm over here doing what he should be doing. This man doesn't deserve to be the firstborn.
can you imagine how you would feel? Bro, I would feel some kind of way.
But even, I mean, I'm reminded that first bite of Chinese food was terrible. Second bite was just as bad. But I didn't care in the moment because of appetite. And the right
Some more.
now, wanting what I wanted more than the consequences that it was going to take.
And who's that? Who is in the driver's seat when we're operating that way? The Earthman.
Yeah.
The Edomite. Adam. You know what I mean? The animal. That's what that is. Y'all, please pardon me. I didn't even get into Jonathan's Chinese food tonight, but something has been repeating the sounding joy.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yeah.
That is the Earthman.
Right.
That is that Adamic nature in play. Yeah, but I'm hungry. Yeah, but I'm going to be fasting tomorrow. Yeah, but what you got?
There's a reason why Paul said what he did in 1 Corinthians 15. You knew I was going with this.
I mean, I can't believe you're opening 1 Corinthians 15, but that's awesome. Yes.
We can start at verse 45. So also it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living soul. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit. And this is Paul speaking about Jesus.
Yep.
However, the spiritual is not first, but the natural, then the spiritual. This is verse 47 where it gets real interesting. The first man is from the earth, earthy. The second man isn't that like a very interesting choice of language?
Oh,
The first man is
it
from
is what you're thinking it is.
Right, it's from the earth, earthy. The second man is from heaven. As is the earthy, so also are those who are earthy. And as is the heavenly, so also are those who are heavenly. Just as we have borne the image of the earthy, we will also bear the image of the heavenly. It's like he's just driving
Boom.
that earthy motif home, understanding the juxtaposition between Adam and Jesus.
Can I put it this way? Adam, when he was standing beside Eve in that moment, Esau, when he smelled that porridge, this is humans who are fully embodied. Where Jacob, for all his faults, for all his weaknesses, was a dweller in tents. It's a different mindset.
Yeah.
This is something I'm using versus this is me.
Come on now. Wow.
That's the
That's the difference.
juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Though outwardly we are wasting away, inwardly we are being renewed day by day. You know, we have these treasures in vessels of earth.
Earthen vessels. Yeah.
You know, what does Paul say about putting off this tent? I can't wait to put off this tent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a tent maker.
Tent maker. Yep.
I saw, yeah, we vibed on that. This is what I mean about the fractals of the wisdom of God that Esau is the embodied one. This is the same genetic code. They're twins. This is the same genetic code being handed down. I don't think they were identical twins, but same mother, same father, same grandparents, same. This is the same genetic code. One in a totally embodied earth man, led by his earth nature, and one who didn't feel as at home here, a dweller in tents. It's a flip mindset between the two of them. And so when Esau shows up in that tent, what you have to understand is he's still on the hunt. And Jacob is just trying to take care of a tent. His father's in this case.
Yeah.
Because they're mourning the passing of somebody else's tent. And so, yeah, you're right, man. I think this is how you would feel if your brother who never calls home showed up while your beloved parent is grieving in the bedroom, starts talking about give me that mac and cheese you're making for dad. I know it's raw. I'm starving right now. And so Jacob, yeah, in his disgust and all that, says the lion the serpent said, basically, give me your birthright, I'll give you this.
Right.
So Esau says, what good will that do me if I'm dead? It has no value to me. What are we looking at here? We're looking at a low vibrational being who cannot access what is of true value. And so the exchange is made, and the red earth man eats the red uncooked stew, and the birthright is exchanged, and all of the fallout of that. But we're supposed to be noticing in this whole story, oh, this is that story again.
Yeah. It's the pattern.
It's the pattern. Because all the big trades that have been made on humanity, including the one at Calvary, were made over a sacred meal. So, you have any comment to make on that before?
No. No.
Because I came in here tonight thinking about the word arbitrage, where arbitrage is you take something of value, you take a commodity, and you buy and sell it simultaneously. Are you familiar with that term at all?
No, not as much.
So you buy and sell it simultaneously, and you clean up on the difference. But somebody could say, well, that's just making a profit. That's just turning a profit. No, arbitrage is a specific function because of the way it works. It's a specific function of this diabolical banking system that we've built in this world. That's a reflection of the kingdom of hell. But what arbitrage is, and I asked AI for a good example broken down, and the example was you walk into the school cafeteria. So go back to middle school or whatever, those of you that weren't homeschooled like me. Mm-hmm. You walk into the school cafeteria and you notice that at table 1, they're trading cookies and candy. And somebody with 2 pieces of candy can get 1 cookie. And then you notice that over at table 2, somebody with 2 pieces of candy can get 2 cookies. These kids are sitting there. Well, I'll give you 2 candies if you give me 2 cookies. These kids, well, I'll give you my cookie if you give me your candy. Okay, here's a piece of candy. No, this cookie's big. I'm going to need 2 pieces of candy. So they've just made different deal.
Different transaction, yeah.
You're the one with the advantage because you've seen them both.
Yeah.
So you walk over to table 2 and you say, here's 2 pieces of candy. Let me have 2 cookies. And they give you the 2 cookies, and you walk over to table 1 and you go, here's a cookie. Let me have 2 pieces of candy.
And you still have a cookie left.
And you still have a cookie left over, and you've got your candy back. And both people feel like they got a fair trade, but you came out a cookie ahead, right?
Yep.
Now, what keeps this ecosystem alive, and maybe a better way to say it is what will kill it is if table 2 ever finds out about table 1 and table 1 ever finds out about table 2.
The jig is up.
The jig is up. Mm-hmm. So arbitrage is benefiting off of the isolation of information that you possess, and you're making sure that
the other side
doesn't find out.
Yeah.
And then you profit in the middle. And arbitrage has all kinds of wild impacts because if you do it for long enough, the dynamics of supply and demand actually shift, and the markets will meet in the middle and the profit differential will be gone. So it only works for a while.
Yeah.
Because of the dynamics of, I'm not going to get into it here, but the dynamics of supply and demand are such that at a point, the market begins to become so flooded with these commodities that the 2 markets average out.
Right.
And then the jig is up and you got to find another table where something's going on. But the whole game is you have to possess the information and protect it. Keep it isolated. Keep it siloed. So what are you actually profiting off of? You're profiting off of ignorance. That's really what you could say you're profiting off of knowledge, but really you're not. Because if everybody knew,
it's a lack of knowledge.
It's the lack of knowledge. Yeah. So your profit depends on somebody's ignorance. And so arbitrage is this game of siloing information such that, and they're very open about it. You know, there are people that do arbitrage with commodities like oil. So they will find somebody with 5 million barrels of oil and find somebody who needs 5 million barrels of oil, and they'll make the connection, and they know what the people with the 5 million are willing to sell for, and they know what the people over here are willing to buy for, and they pocket the middle, and everybody's happy because the people with the 5 million barrels get to sell, the people with the need get to buy.
Come on.
And they know that there's arbitrage in the middle, but it's solving an immediate felt need. I need to get these barrels of oil off my hands, and I need these barrels of oil. So let the guy in the middle have his thing, right? But when you take that down into the realm of our daily lives and our interaction with the system of the beast, what you start to realize is that it is the knowledge that the dark side holds that we lack that is allowing the enemy to clean up off the back of what we don't know. So as soon as we stop being subject to the appetite that is driving the market at our table, we've killed his game. Because when he holds out the cookie, the pottage, the fruit, if our appetites are not in the driver's seat, if the earth man is not in the driver's seat, what we're going to immediately realize is he doesn't ever create anything. So if he's got it, that means it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to invest in my future here. I'm going to invest in my life here. I'm going to say no to the earth man. Stay hungry. Stay tired.
Yeah.
Wait your turn for knowledge. And I'm going to go find what he knows about. And not only am I going to obtain it, but I'm going to share the information I have, and hopefully they'll share the information they have, and then his jig is up.
Yeah.
So when the Bible says love your neighbor, do good to them that persecute you, pray for them, that what God is trying to do is put us on game for how to knock the teeth out of the parasite that is sucking the blood from our walk. He's trying to rob Satan's kingdom of the power of arbitrage in our lives. And that's why we're having these discussions. That's why we're talking about how darkness works. And
yeah.
We don't know it all. We're just saying out loud what we've observed, because it would be really nice if all of God's people started breaking bread together and sharing what they know. Malachi 3:16,
Right.
Then those who feared
Keep
the
saying
Lord
that.
spoke to one another.
Yep. At a table.
At a table.
Right.
And so in Revelation 18, when Babylon falls, and I'm reading from actually, you good, bro?
Yeah, we just dropping phones tonight.
Do you have a comment before I read this?
No, sir.
You've been quiet.
I've
Other
been
than
learning.
starting trouble. Okay. Okay. So it just interesting to read this from Scott McKnight's
Yeah, his
The
translation.
Second Testament, a new translation.
Yeah.
The land's kings who prostituted, this is Revelation 18:9. The land, talking about the fall of Babylon. The land's kings who prostituted and sensualized with her, Babylon, will wail and strike themselves grieving over her whenever they see her fire's smoke, having stood far away because they're afraid of her torment. So the principalities, the powers, the spiritual rulers of darkness, and they'll stand afar saying, "Oi, oi, the great city, Babylon, the strong city, because in 1 hour your judgment came. The land's ones conducting business wail and grieve over her, because no one buys their cargo any longer. Cargo of gold and silver and precious stone and pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and every citron wood and every ivory vessel and every vessel from costly wood and brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and spice and incense and ointment and frankincense and wine and olive oil and flour and wheat and cattle and sheep and horses and chariots and enslaved bodies and selves of humans." Bodies and selves. King James says the bodies and souls of men. But enslaved bodies and selves. So when God breathed the breath of life into the red earth man, he became a living self.
Yeah.
But when Satan began to arbitrage off the back of what Adam's race didn't know about the value of what God, the true riches. That list is very powerful: gold and silver, precious stone, pearls, silk, scarlet, citron, ivory, brass, iron, marble, cinnamon, spice, the anointing, incense, wine, olive oil. What Babylon profits off of is what Adam's race forgot about the value of those things. So the arbitrage game is Babylon's backbone. And when he enslaved our bodies, our earth man, because of our appetites, he also enslaved ourselves, the awareness, the one that knows. But his kingdom's coming down. The next thing that it says is the fruit, this is speaking to Babylon, the fruit of your self's desire departed from you, and all your delicacies and bling destroyed from you, and they will never find these any longer.
Okay.
And the Bible says that heaven and the saints and the apostles and the prophets rejoiced over that. So, for Babylon to fall, God's people have to awaken out of the dream, stop valuing what controlled markets and tightly manicured perceptions and have placed in front of them. Stop being slaves to appetites and felt needs, and that's what we're doing here, man.
Yeah. Definitely presenting something that they can find actual nutrients and value from, not just from one listen either. I mean, this is something they may need to play again in a future season.
Yeah.
To kind of revisit some of the things that were mined. Oh man, that
I hope. I hope people go mining for these. I hope these clues
Mhm.
trigger people to go, don't look for the darkness, look for the light.
Yeah.
But be aware of, you'll see the darkness, understand it.
Amen. As always, this it always helps for you to like, share, comment, do all of the things. But we want to hear from you. Like, if this is adding value to your life, um, if this is adding value to somebody that you may have shared it to, like, we want to hear that. Also, I think we're at a point. I mean, drop down in the comments some things that maybe you want to hear
Yeah.
us to kind of get into. Lord willing, if it's
Now that hopefully you know what we're trying to do,
right.
questions, stuff that's popped out at you.
Yeah. Some things that we can maybe bring light to. We could deep dive together. Hey, let's build a community. That's what we're trying to do. At the end of the day, this is Antikemi. We are really trying to be the disgustingly opposing force
Yeah.
to whatever the powers that be are presenting and adding to your playlists, to your plates, affecting your palates, all of that. Let's be opposite. Let's stand opposed to it.
We don't think we have a corner on any of this. So ultimately, I'm praying this becomes a conversation. I'm praying Antikemi becomes a table where we can share together. Who knows? Maybe someday Antikemi will involve some kind of get together, or
Yeah.
but maybe we'll develop some conversation boards out of this in some forum, or I don't know. The name of the app always throws me off, but maybe there's a Discord in our future or whatever. But right now, we're just trying to start a conversation.
Right.
Tell us what's working, what isn't working, what you like, what throws you, whatever. Like, but tell us in the comments so that we get some traction. I mean, seriously, like,
Absolutely.
let's talk. And it really does help I don't think people understand. You give it that like, you give it that comment. It's crazy what that will do to help spread the awareness where it's supposed to go. But like, please don't be afraid to tell us what about what we're doing is working for you. What about it you're finding challenging? I'm not promising that we'll just jump to change everything, but either we can change something, or maybe we can help you bridge a gap, or whatever.
Your feedback is valuable.
Yeah.
We love it. Well, until next time,
We are the resistance.
live in Tikkamai.
Love you.